the side of FaZe, and that is definitely going to be a bit of a momentum that they'll try and carry through into this next map as well. If they manage to do that successfully, we might find ourselves with a 2-0 exit at the end. Of course, it's going to be MIBR. It's their map. They should be the ones that would be able to take this one home. And we will find out whether or not that will be true or not.
So, I'm assuming we're going to see a Valk ban.
What makes you say that?
Oh, statistics.
Oh, statistics. Numbers, you might say.
I mean...
Oh, it's not. It's a smoke.
There's still a possibility.
There's still a possibility.
There's still a possibility. I think the smoke is actually a very curious ban because, to be fair, smoke in hands of MIBR, yeah, get rid of it. They have some of the best smoke player in the world. And we've seen what they can do in terms of wasting time. There it is. We've seen what it can do in terms of wasting time. We've seen how powerful that gun can be in the hands of that back line of MIBR. So get it off the board. Pull something away from them that might make them a little bit uncomfortable.
I guess all we have to say is wraps, right?
Yeah.
Like smoke, wraps. The amount of aggression that he showed and still managed to come out alive and use those 3 smoke canisters in his advantage later on. Insane. But we are headed towards that bottom floor first and into the basement. It's Wine Cellar and the Snowmobile Garage that will be played. And when Chalet just first came out, I wasn't really a big fan of this site. We back then used to describe things as onion strategies, how there's multiple layers to it, how it's difficult to fall back on a site that just has a trench around it if you're going for a horizontal take. However, teams are starting to make it work. Teams are starting to play it more and more as in opposition really towards the bedroom side, for example.
I think that's the thing about this site as well is, you know, it's the statistic I highlighted at the very beginning of this showdown was the plant statistic of MIBR. They don't always go for the objective against Latin America teams. They have got the diffuser down mainly against NA teams where maybe they just see a weakness in play or maybe they have a comfort in terms of playing that, but across the board and again across these previous showdowns, whereas the 3 plants that went down on the previous map just from the side of FaZe, not even counting the MIBR ones, that equals the total plants between the 3 maps that these 2 teams have hit heads against for the previous year. And I said that might be a statistic that becomes a little bit more curious, and here I guess we'll get more of a taste of that if they can hold off FaZe's approach or if they keep that pressure on.
Now, the big danger is, of course, when you have that heavy top floor roam on this basement side, that when an opening is made, they might just instantly be able to go for a plant and there's nothing really you can do about it. So you always have to find that balance because it's just falls now onto that side. And as the opening will be made by the Selmas, Souls is playing close with the kid. Lukid upstairs is going to be waiting to see whether or not there is going to be a push coming, whether or not there is a roam clear on the way, and Reduct is doing the exact same thing. They start closing off these doors to limit the push, limit the play that FaZe can make. But as the pressure is starting to come in, at least at that first floor, and it seems like the second one as well, they will stay at their places at least for now.
The E1D rains out over the top as FaZe are going for that wide approach here. Now, between the 2 teams as well, we've seen Chalet a mixed amount of times. It's generally been pretty good coming out of MIBR's pocket here. They've actually lost it more times than I think they've won it this tournament, but the most recent was the win 7-2 against SSG, and they actually opted to remove the Lion, which has just been the bite there on the top, the fight over, and Raps goes down as well. The pressure of Astro is able to clear those steps, and that was step for step a fantastic take. Bullet with the lock in there on Reduct, and suddenly 3 bodies have dropped. There's at least Falls getting 1 back. Nose has got to go for the rotate, but Felipox is so isolated right now. He's going for a hefty rotate here, but there's so many FaZe players between him and the site.
Yeah, he's still up on that top floor, and that puts him in a good position, but the flashbangs were coming in. There was a drone. They know exactly where he is, and as Falls, it's only up to Felipox now. The full site is under control of the side of FaZe, and as the plant is being attempted, it is Felipox that tries and jumps up a bit, but he's completely blind, thrown on the ground, and gets finished off by Cameraman. It is an entry, it is a plant that comes through as well, and a very clear and concisive round on the side of FaZe Clan. And where many would have said, well, maybe they start to struggle a little bit more, maybe this is where the momentum breaks up on their side, they started off just as strong as they have ended Cafe.
a huge bit of momentum there from FaZe. They hit the ground running. And I said they were getting themselves sort of set up, but apparently they wanted to do a little bit more than that. That bite on those players on the top floor, knowing that the site was all the way on the bottom, they lent into the stretch that I said MIBR sometimes put themselves onto. These huge fights across the map, and Bullet going for the hot hop in, you assume just in the billiards window, at the same time as the pressure that came on the second story above, and it was just so well played there. And that is FaZe knowing they have the read, and sure, the kit went down, but I don't think that was the definition of the round.
No, it definitely wasn't. It was the explosiveness on the first and second floor where they took library, fireplace, the bar, and you know, the billiards room, all with Storm and with decisiveness, able to shut down 3 players in quick succession. And after that, when you know one is offside, it is a quick decision to start headed towards the site, because you are in that 5v1 situation. It was still back then. It wasn't until Files managed to pick up that 1 kill, of course, that it slowly started to go back a little bit in favor of MIBR, but of course didn't get much further than that. And whereas the previous time we had that jumping into billiards, into games, that is not going to be happening this time around. We are playing in bar and games, and as a result there will be more utility placed towards that site now. And even though if FaZe might want to go for a bit of a quick push here, they'll find out quick enough there is a mirror window in the pantry, and that will most likely be held, so they're not quite going to be able to make that work successfully.
The take on the camera and the clarity of movement underneath, and the caution that now has to be applied by MIBR. You no longer have that eye on that stair set. And there goes that back line, bar stock, and that is sort of the beating heart that keeps a lot of the solidity onto the site. It makes sure they don't just have that hop in, and the pace again from FaZe is so quick. They're hitting these objectives, they're hitting the site, and MIBR, they're sort of trying to keep pace, and they're sort of trying to get a handle on where this is all coming from. For Leapox, he wants to be the early engagement instead of being the last time round. Another E1D hops off, and there's a second of a pause. As Falls, he's potentially eyeing up stocking himself a little bit closer. He doesn't want to overextend. No one wants to be that loose thread that gets caught out, because FaZe, they're pulling at all of them.
Now there's one inside that bar. It's Philipbox trying to hide there. Grenades are being tossed in, but will find no one as of yet. Falls trying to go quite close here, looking to go for a bit of a swing. It's going to be a jumping of a Gemini that gives away the game. He needs to fall back as soon as he possibly can, and as he makes his way near the pantry door, he's still trying to activate the serial laser gate. That is at least another piece of utility that now needs to be used. But FaZe have fallen off. They're deciding to go for a different kind of take, and it starts here in the mudroom. Flashbangs are coming in, and Lukin gets the first kill.
Cameraman goes down, the kit's cold and just on the double hop, but it's Astro that bites back, and with a fight on Reduct on the top, he's just going to pull himself away. He doesn't want to give his life up for what is an attempted retake. Raps, in the meantime, he's trying to find the same excuse and exit, but Astro's seeing if he can give him a little bit of a hotter one. But instead he pulls himself back. FaZe, they're knocking on the door of the site, but without the comfort of those 2 loose players, Bullet has to pick himself up. He has to go and watch the far side and the solarium stairs to make sure that rotate doesn't come back to haunt them a little bit later. They have time, they have plenty of it, but they just don't have the control. They're able to opt before Reduct with a slow creep finds the tail end of a player that just slips away. Those couple of bullets aren't going to be the full catch, but they are just still keeping this uncomfortable distance. How many times can 2 ships pass in the night? Well, hopefully for them a little bit closer before they get themselves inside the site.
Falls drops, and it's a crucial kill there. That means they could go for a potential plant now. Raps trying to wrap around here as well. So is Redux. Both are low on HP. He gives away his position here, and as the plant will be attempted 45 seconds soon on the clock. If it's not for Redux, it gets one, but instantly traded out. Bullet goes down. It's a 2-on-1 situation. Astro healthy on hit points. Cyber not so much. Neither is Raps, and as the timer runs out, it's Cyber that picks up the kill. It's FaZe that wins round number 2. And we're in the previous matchup, we had 12 opening kills, of which 11 led to a round. We've only had 2 here so far, and already this second one not converted to a round win.
That was so good from FaZe. For that reason I talked about before, is that objective play. They realized that the rotation was coming through, and they sent Iana off to see if they can be that other end of it. But then when they sort of had that conversation of, well, we still need to punch site. We still need to see if we can take the fight on those bodies that are inside. And yeah, sure, the Iana was 2 steps behind being absolutely pummeled with bullets on that attempted close down. But that conversation, that moment, is the reason that they were able to just take over the control of the site and take over control of what MIBR were attempting. Kitchen Dining, They're going to keep themselves onto different sites, see if they can find any sense of success so far. And even with the upper hand of the previous round of that entry, it just could not get that final connection.
The final connection not there. FaZe able to get a 2-0 lead here on the attack, on the leading of the second map, where we expect them to struggle a little bit more, as the analysts are expecting a map 3 to be coming very soon. Now, if it's up to FaZe, that will not be happening. They want to lock it off as quickly as they can, whereas MIBR, of course, is looking to fight back. But if you just look at that bullet that was just slipping away 2 steps in front of the hunter behind him, he was able to get quite a big of an impact as well at that very final, 20-30 seconds when that diffuser went down by opening up that bar, providing a bit of extra support, which led to a plant. Now, imagine if it would have been picked up before. That means 2 players that were on his tail could instantly follow back and start headed towards the site against a weakened FaZe, which now wasn't the case. Windows are being opened up. Cyber using the LMG, 50 bullets used, 3 double doors / windows opened up. And that is going to be providing some lines of sight. But also a bit of worry in the heads of MIBR, because they now know as well that there could be someone up on the balcony, there could be someone outside the main door, and there could be someone out in the tower watching that big double window on the site. So you're going to have to be a very, a bit more careful about your rotations.
You can see MIBR, they're keeping themselves a little bit at arm's length here. They don't want to get too intent, but it's Astro that finds the first fight, and once again, Lion screams across the sky. Cyber, he's been able to get himself right in deep here on this potential swing round, and there's a player completely caught unaware inside the site, and now the pressure's on Bullet on the second story. Lukid is damaged, but Astro just needs to get that rotation here, and whether they take West Main, either way, Raps is trying to go for a retake. There's a drop down. The cover on that side, the explosion onto the back of Dining to sort of say, well, we're here, but they're there, and they're putting that kit down, making it connect with the floor. Lukid with 1 more, but in a post plant, suddenly it's 45. And suddenly it's 2 versus 3, and it's 3 guns all pointed towards you. A slip back in and a great take from Philippe Box, and the verticality goes into their favor as well, all down to Souls. No grenades, but a big opening and a single player on the site cannot find it, and MIBR finally find a response, the 3rd plant in a row, but this time MIBR have that defuse.
Diffuser might have been rushed there a little bit too much on the side of FaZe. It weren't quite ready. The flank was still on the way. The top floor control wasn't quite there. And if you want to go for that plant, you need to have at least a bit of verticality. Otherwise, you're going to be losing your players. Exactly how Lukid was able to pick up one of those FaZe members. Cyber, who started off so strong, picked up a bunch of pace and managed to get the side under control, was taken out from above due to the lack of verticality. And it's okay, but then you need to have players ready horizontally if you want to go for a hold like that. So, as a tactical gets called now by MIBR, probably due to the fact that they were able to sneak in, get a plant in quite quickly, and no one seemed to have been aware, they salvaged this round, but that doesn't mean it cannot happen again. So they need to make sure that they are ready for whatever is to come.
It's the same conversation that we had about phases earlier, where although they're able to take a round, it's that lack of control, it's that lack of understanding which was pulling things away from them, because it's 2 teams that thrive on that game. It's 2 teams that thrive on that control, and as you said, they punched their way through onto the site. They felt that they could have got it, as you can see on the shake of their heads there, but still, they're now heading back to a site that they have already had some success on before, and it's back down to the basement. And I guess the questions I'm going to have here are from MIBR, are we going to see still more of that adventure on the top floors, or do they feel like they need to keep their eyes a little bit more locked on that kit?
I think we're going to be seeing a bit more of a turtle to come through here, because, I mean, I think that last round was a perfect example of it. Yeah, they managed to basically salvage the round, but at the same time, FaZe was able to sneak all the way through and get a plan to happen. And if Cyber would not have been picked up from above by Lukid, who I'm not sure, I didn't see the kill, but it could have been a spray from above, it could have been an impact that opened up a little bit of a hole. But if Cyber wasn't picked up, suddenly that would have been, well, the kill on the person that was coming from the back potentially, and then it would have been a 1v4 retake on the side of MIBR. So just that single kill turned so much around, and don't forget the amazing flick on the planter of Souls as well, who just planted behind the half wall, stood up, gets his head removed instantly.
Okay, MIBR, what have you built from that tack timeout? What can you sort of thread here and see if you can pull some of this in? If I talk about, obviously, the previous map having a bit of preference onto the attackers, it is fair to say it's the same here. On Chalet, again, you're generally seeing that 4-2 divide as the most common one. You're seeing that as the way teams like to claw themselves back in. So MIBR, they're, I think, sort of in the situation right now where, as we said, it was around in their favor. It still could be on for a good schedule, but they still feel like they can do better. They can have more of an impression of just what FaZe is sort of setting themselves up for. The stretch on Philippox around West Main, but pulls himself back upon a little bit of damage done to windows. There is some control above him as well. There is a bit of an extension there of a player. And FaZe, they're weighing up options, trying to find, once again, that loose bit MIBR's hold to pull at.
Still trying to swing around, hope to spot ahead, or at least a sound or some clue of where FaZe is coming from. And E1D pops, and that means that some pressure is being, well, put down now onto the players of MIBR. That might have been, no, didn't quite see him there. It's a swing around the corner here. Lukit is going to be able to find at least one, and it's going to be, well, traded out. In the end, Cameraman finds them, but it's a 3-on-3. Another E1D gets used to try and diffuse that situation, try and slow everything down, as Philippox is headed back towards the site.
You look at what was taken out of FaZe's approach there, though. Obviously, Astro and Bullet went hunting, but they've now lost those Selmas. Philippox is back inside the site. They have limited a lot of that sort of bigger opening hard destruction. Potentially one was used on that garage entrance as they did on the approach before, so that might already be open, but still, it was a much better, much more aggressive take here, and things like that mirror power position are instead going to have to be dug out from either above or the back line, and potentially we see a trench take instead for Philippox. He sees a drone whiz by, he sees a couple of pings potentially on other drones. There's no players currently present. They're sort of giving an idea on where they might have an idea on where he might be, and he's keeping himself in this guessing game. Cyber, he maybe had that sniff. He had the impression somebody was on the roam, but nobody as of yet.
Now, they need to make a play happen here on the side of FaZe. We're in a bit of a stalemate. Philippox is still in a position where he could go for a roam or a late round flank, and where the rest of FaZe is currently getting themselves in a position, we'll see Souls open up a small hole. First of all, to get a grenade through far right behind a pillar, because that is currently the most dangerous position for him to start opening up in. A little bit of damage will be done into Files, but not quite enough as the Banshee gets taken out as well. They're starting to create a hole on the wine cellar's wall, on the boiler side of things, so they could go for a plant later on. The Nitro gets tossed out, but will deal no damage. And as long as they keep this one busy right here, it's a grenade kill that starts it all off. It's Cyber that picks up another kill, and Philippox on that flank now needs to hurry back. Another plant will be attempted right beside that wine cellar. They have that rotation. They can easily back out, but with 14 seconds left, it's that 1v2 retake now that Philippox needs to confirm.
You can see there's a bit of control coming from above, and while they're seeing if they can just get a little bit of width onto the hold itself, it's such a dangerous pressure and such a dangerous point for them to be locked in. Has to sort of isolate a fight here, because they know as soon as they hear that defuse, that's going to be a player that's going to be popped up or popped down. Philippox tucks the corner and sees if he can get a connection. There's a great swing round. There's a second. And it's Souls that, to this point, hadn't been able to find a body as of yet, but that is the body that he connects with. Another plant.
4 in a row now for the side of FaZe, and where they were in a bit of a stalemate, not having any hard breach except for that gas canister, of course, or the blowtorch of Souls, to start opening up some of these holes so he could get these grenades in blue and right behind the pillar, which are two positions which would normally be played. As soon as he got blue, that is suddenly a crossfire gun. That means he can now go for that fight, and it's exactly what Cyber did, exactly how he locked off a very important kill, and they were able to go for the plant as a result, which turns it into a 3v1. Philippox, who decided or was told to go offside, was told to go for a late flank probability, was too late. He got one kill, we give him that, and he was able to have a bit of a skirmish here with Souls, but he was not in a position where he could support the side. He was not in a position where they could provide an extra crossfire angle. The woos are coming out. Rightfully so, because that is 3-1, and you could have said it should have been a 4-0 right now for the side of FaZe, because they had that side control, but they rushed the plant. They didn't properly clear that top floor out, and maybe if they didn't go for the plant at the moment they had that side control, it would have been their round. But a 1-3, FaZe is leading. not too comfortably yet. It's just 2 rounds for now. It's easily turned around by MIBR if their defenses start hitting. And we're headed back towards that bar where, well, let's just say the mirror window was taken out quite early the previous time. And that is due to the fact that, well, Raps was playing on those blue stairs, tried to rotate around, but missed a shot. And as a result, the Selma popped off. The mirror was gone. No point in trying to clear that anymore because there's just such a big hole in there already that it's basically an unplayable position.
MIBR, they haven't quite been able to have all the confidence that we expected, and obviously they've used their timeout as of this moment in time. And you sort of look at their history on Chalet, and usually they always ban Lion. He's pretty much been a consistent ban for them every time they've played it throughout this tournament against multiple different teams from different regions. And here it has been such a havoc. It's been such a problem. And I guess in this conversation, because they know FaZe better than they'll know a lot of the other teams here based on playing in the same region, you are, I guess at this point, wondering, well, why did they leave it unbanned? And that's an answer that we'll only get onto their attacks because FaZe are using it so well. They have this control of the mirror window still, and
okay, that's a very unfortunate entry kill here.
I'm not entirely sure what happened. Obviously, we'll potentially get a replay at the end there. Lukid, he's lost Raps there. They've lost, obviously, a very important player. There's Selma that's misthrown. It's a little bit of an error-filled round for now, but it still has the potential to pop itself up.
Yeah, for sure. It's just opening up some verticalities now to put some more pressure onto the pantry here as Lukid and Philippox both going up, trying to challenge the one player out there. It's not just them, though. There's even more coverers. Redux out there as well, and as Astra picks up one, he is found right after. MIBR starting to fight back. Suddenly it's a 3-on-3 situation again.
Yeah, they obviously lost that player, but they built themselves back in and brought back. Astro gone. But at this point, there's not a huge amount more for the hard destruction to do. Probably the biggest cost is those grenades round at the back line. Iana has already used both of hers. They obviously might still be able to apply some pressure with flashes and see if they can drive behind it, but the bolts are also taken out of Capitão's bow, so it's just a matter of seeing if they can lock themselves in with the control of the gunfight and fire, and otherwise see if they can build behind it. There is a stretch here of FaZe. They're opening themselves up. A bit of rotation. Might try and push up the bottom side of blue. It is being watched by that single player, but if they do 2 tiers of fight, well, now it's only one. Philippox pops up, drops one. He's about to find a second, and he just maybe saw the side, and, well, now he definitely knows they're there, and I'm not entirely sure what the Philippox side of that looked like, but from the cameraman side, it looked a little bit easy. Redot gets dropped, falls. Might be able to get the pick up here, but it's a spray through an open mirror window, and they're going to see if they can cement the kill. A great take by Falls, who is so consistently this last player, a 1 versus 1. They're trying to find the fight. He's going to pull himself a little bit out of sight. He knows the kit is elsewhere, gets this big stretch. He can play the verticality if he wants to, but he's waiting for this drive by the door, and there it is. Falls connects it for MIBR.
The 1v2 clutch coming in the end there, and a bit of worry, you know. You knew one was on blue, that's why the flank was coming through, but at the moment that you started to push him, your cover wasn't quite there yet. So unable to assure themselves of an extra man count lead here on FaZe. Brought it back a little bit for MIBR. That could have been the one man they needed.
Oh no, he was going to shoot a drone.
That is very unfortunate there, but you know, in the end they still managed to get that round due to that triple man retake up into that top floor, and Falls having an incredible round as well, going for that clutch in the end, and of course earlier taking out the diffuser as well. And 1v3 for him, working out quite well. He knew he had to go for the gunfight. He couldn't try and back out. And MIBR, they get their second round onto their defense, headed towards their 6th. The last one they have before they go over to the attack themselves.
3-3 split would be very good for them leading in to their attack here. Obviously, they've already demonstrated they can attack very well, and Chalet is a map that leads well for good teams that love to attack. Here, they've gone up to the bedroom. They're going to see if this can be that final connection for them, a site that they've avoided up until this point. They potentially think FaZe might be a little bit sharper on it in terms of putting it together. It is a lot of teams' first pick. It is a lot of teams' first defensive pick at that, so you have a lot of experience of going up against it. And here, they're just going to hope that they can keep some of that structure, the castle, the extensions there with the mute jammers and the potential for Luca to go on a roam again. It's down to see if they don't kill each other at the start. It was a great shot.
I mean, it was still an entry kill for MIBR. It's just in favor of FaZe, but, you know, it translated to MIBR in the end. That's all what matters.
Yeah, the entry, get the round.
They had the entry kill, they managed to translate it, and as a result, they find themselves to the 3 now. Drones are still being taken out here by FaZe, however, and as he's quickly taking care of some phases as well, just making sure there's not these default hiding spots they could hide behind. RC Retiro moving in. Going up to the top floor, that is right underneath Redux, might be taking care of some utility, might even deal some damage. Now, not that, but a vertical hole right below him has been created, and as the castle door is still open, still closed up, it's going to be providing some problems here.
I wonder if there was a mute jammer there as the first. They obviously were able to start cracking that wall, and he just has to pull back. There is the pop of the E1D. Lukid was seeing if he could slip away as well at the same time, just for some cover and support. They have the 2 players, and there's the Flores drone sort of getting the clarity that, well, we have that space. They open themselves up a lot more width on box, and they make that soft impossible to play behind without control of blue, which, to be fair, they still have. But you assume FaZe is going to start to direct their eyesights here towards Lukid. They have the ability to obviously distort some of the drones in intel game. There is obviously the player underneath as well for that stretch, where it seems like they're going for a bit of a pinch on. And here now with that pulse, with that next step and setup, it's the spray down from the main door. Cyber finds the opener.
Finds the opener yet once again, and now Luca tries to go aggressive, deals a little bit of damage. Astro will be dropped. That's a hard bridge gone, and the diffuser on the ground as well, but the instant trade comes through. Bullet from below is going to be able to clear it up. Files will fall as well, and that is a 2-on-4 situation with FaZe once again far off the site. This time, however, they're unaware of that situation. He's going to be able to rotate all the way back up through the Solarium side of things and try and provide some support towards that site this time around, which they lacked on that wine cellar in round number 4. And as FaZe moves up, they will recover that diffuser. They will start and push for a potential plant, but with the lack of a heart breach, they're now forced to run through the giant open hole that they've created themselves. And that's a run out from Rabs, finding cameraman up on that top floor, onto the ceiling, on the roof. And now, a 2-on-3, execute. 40 seconds on the clock. They need to push in, and the Souls gets the very first kill. Nitros get tossed over. It is the SMG that fails to connect in the end there. And Bullet that finds the final kill of the round.
4-2. FaZe, they were able to just keep the momentum into their favor on the turn of the half. But MIBR, as we said, that was sort of the pressure that they expected, the turn of the half. And now it's down to FaZe to see if they can fully extend and stretch out this remaining setup and stack of this map. You have now a little bit less work to do than your opponents did last time we were in the situation. Last time we were on that bite of the half. And let's see if Lion is worth keeping on the board for the destruction it has caused so far.
Yeah, that's going to be the big question here. Is it worth the destruction? Because FaZe have been using it so much and have been pushing on the back of it here and there as well. Also, worth mentioning, FaZe with 4 plans, playing that objective game to the best of their abilities here. As it seems sensational here if it happens on that final day with the best teams in the world, the final best 2 teams in the world. Imagine going through all 8 maps and winning it.
I mean, we cast M&M.
We did.
They didn't win SI, but they won the SI calls 8 maps.
That counts as something.
That counts. It can be done. You just got to do it against Empire. Okay, 4-2 MIBR, and after that technical pause, we're back in. So all the players are sorted inside the server, and as I said, it's down to FaZe. If they can start trying to isolate this, put some pressure on and see if they can drive this early round, well, they know themselves it's not done after pulling back from exactly the same fate on the previous map for the success that came down to the 7-5.
Now, I kind of like what they're doing here. We see a reinforced hatch up onto the library side. Bullet is currently the only man that's up on that top floor on the side of FaZe, of course, together with Cyber, but the only one that's going to be in a direct threat of the library is going to be trying to stop them from truly pushing in. He has that mirror window. There is also an electroclaw that has been placed inside the bar to provide some support and assure that, well, the heart breachers from range are not going to be able to rain through. However, there is no Hibana, considering it got banned. There is no Selmas of Ace, considering he's not brought. It is an exothermic charge that MIBR have chosen to use here. And the question is, how impactful is that going to be? Because, like FaZe is currently playing, they're not really keen on letting them get close to any walls.
I mean, that's it. Maybe they expected a different site. Maybe they expected a different place to be. As I said, you know, you'll often see that the top floor is a start site for a lot of people if they'll find themselves inside the bedroom in the office side instead. And here, MIBR might be trying to make do. Hey, attacker E-picks, not here yet. And Luca definitely is. Soul's taken off the board, and Fool's going to see if he can try and get the diffuser in. They've hopped in, and they've got themselves that big bat of control without going directly for the verticals. Suddenly, they've been able to entirely shift this round into their favor. A slip through after getting control of that pantry player on the backside and the stock line. And here with Bullet, he's going to have to go for a retake over the verticality. They saw how much was here, and they saw a locked hatch, and they said, well, there's nothing they can do. Raps there is able to get one more. The retake is scrappy, and it doesn't go their way either. Astro, all that's left here, and one locked hatch gave MIBR the confidence to take a site with the trust of that single player, and Astro's able to at least get another for his money, but not enough time to even get to the diffuser before he can start diffusing. So MIBR, they're able to swing in and take their opener here.
With a very quick first round, they find that opening up onto, I believe it was the top floor, but I'm not quite sure. And as a result...
No, it was
actually
stock.
on the side itself. It wasn't stock.
There was one player on stock, and they'd locked the hatch. So as soon as they got that player, they went, site's ours, lads.
And this is the issue with it. I said before, okay, I kind of like how they lock off that hatch so you cannot really go from top to down. But it really starts relying then on the player in stock, and you need to make sure that they cannot jump into the window as free as they did. Due to the lack of verticality that had been created before, and just look at that, it's a jump-in opening kill that comes through. And at that moment in time, the diffuser went down, there's nothing you can do anymore. The closed hatch, it can work. And it will work if you manage to keep control of that first floor. Because then you do not allow them to get that big line of sight through the hatch. You do not allow them hopping from the top to bottom. However, if you then lose sight yourself, if you lose that first engagement onto the bomb side and they decide to just go for a push, then there's not much you can do. And that's exactly what FaZe realized. Then they'll decide to not instantly go back towards the bar and the gaming room, but we're headed towards the kitchen and the dining first. A different site where they themselves found a very quick round, unfortunately not going their way. But they still had the entry and the plant before it was MIBR that started fighting back. And now they're on that defense. They need to make sure they don't make the same mistakes. Have a second person on the side potentially, or at least provide yourself with some verticalities and rotates back towards the side.
There's a lot of attempts at controlling intel and information here from drones, a game that is so good on Chalet. It's one of the sort of highlighted reasons of why attackers can generally have a good prominence is because, well, it's really easy to hide a drone in a position that's quite close to either a rotate, and a major one at that, in those plants, in those bushes, or on those beams that run across the top. A little bit of drone parkour goes a long way here. So trying to pull apart from that, trying to get those mute jammers down, and obviously the Mozzie as well. We obviously saw a lot of visual play from the opposite side of MIBR. Drones, they are ferocious more than on a lot of other places, and it's tough to find that clarity of intel. Pings and pressure that's coming across here towards Cyber on the top floor, and you can sort of feel it getting a little bit too hot and gets himself out of there just before it gets, well, stone cold.
He tries to rotate out indeed, and he managed to actually catch a drone, which he now will be able to place to give himself some support here. He can now try and figure out where the actual attackers are coming from, but I believe that that drone has just realized, hey, that is not one of ours, that one is not going into the right direction, and might be one that we need to neutralize later on. Raps, in the meantime, in the office, he has snuck up quite far, but as he checks the wrong corner, it's Cyber that swings around and gets the first. He retakes the piano, but he's currently being pushed from the side of that big window, from the bathroom, and potentially the balcony as well.
Well, you could see the drone actually ended up set up there in that office, and, well, there's the retake. Felipox and Reduct, they close down on that single player. Felipox is waiting for the return swing, but still the entrance is into the favor of Cyber. MIBR, they're trying to weigh up options here, but as soon as they go for the drop, with that alibi still standing, they're going to be revealed and under a hail of fire. They've left the diffuser, and they're just going to restack and reevaluate themselves and see if they can get some clarity of the drone game. As I said, the importance that it offers. Hey, there's that traitor drone. There it is, removed after already netting one kill, but it gives them the freedom now to start taking over the top. And when you have 4 impacts and a C4 still in pocket, it's important to keep that clarity and control.
Magnets are being used as well to stop any further utility from going through, and as an exothermic is used for, well, verticality actually, not for opening up the wall that is inside Trophy. It's MIBR that have taken control. Cameraman tosses out a Nitro Cell, is not going to be able to net the kill as it got shot out right before it detonates. But it's MIBR that is knocking on the doors of the site right now. There's one on West, there's two coming in, Redux already inside the site. Do they know? It's going to be a big question. Now they definitely do, with that flashbang detonating right behind them.
He goes right past one, swings onto the second there, and suddenly Redux gets that cover, but there it is, Felipox. He was hid, dropped down, and absolutely locked off with Bullet getting that important kill inside the site itself, but falls from the top down. MIBR, they pull themselves level, and they don't look like they're ready to stop just yet.
So confused what just happened. Bullet was just sitting there. The flashbangs came through. Maybe he was blind, but 2 kills picked up because he wasn't watching that door. It took a very long time before he was able to respond to whatever was happening at that moment in time. And as I go for another, what seems technical break quickly here, it is a moment for FaZe to quickly reset what's going on because 2 rounds have just been lost in a row. We have equalized the score. We're 4-on-4. Whoever wins 3 rounds out of the next 4 is going to be finding themselves with this map in their pocket. For FaZe, it means more as they would be locking it off and will be fighting against TSM tomorrow. Whereas MIBR is, of course, trying to stall everything out and pushes over towards a map number 3.
There it is. What a stage. Hey, look, I know those people at the bottom. Oh, they went. You just saw a glimpse of Parker, Demo, and Pengu.
Oh, did you now?
Just for a second.
Did you see our fellow talents on there?
Just for a little second.
Photobombing the stage.
Photobombing the stage on a camera. So there was a really cool camera that like flies around, as you've obviously seen. And I said, how much do I have to bribe somebody to let me drive that? And they said, there is no amount of money because we don't trust you. No, it's so cool. And I think they're moving the whole thing over here with all of that cool tech and bringing the stage. It's also a very expensive camera. They knew that I would crash it into somebody or the hammer. It would be like the close-up where it just like doesn't stop.
I see our stage manager is indeed like, yeah, that's exactly what would happen.
Yeah,
right now.
there was nothing else I could have given them.
You would give it a bump right now.
Oh, this is it. This is the danger. See, I've like goaded them into playing with that camera now. They're going to see if they can show it off in a cool way. I will... Okay, if I can't bribe you to let me drive it, how much to bonk it onto Parker's head? Who is stood?
Oh, checking, no.
Checking, no. Okay.
Not going to happen, unfortunately.
We are out of the tech pause.
We are.
I believe we can see ourselves going back into the round. There it is. And you look at the bottom of your screen, maybe you'll see 3 familiar heads.
Maybe.
No, they're framing them out this time.
They've learned.
They've learned. They pulled up.
4-on-4, Bar Gaming will be the site, and MIBR has started off this second half with 2 very successful attacks. And FaZe have not been able to hold on very well to their sites. Even though they did have the opening, even though we did see, you know, a little bit of play around on that top floor, there was just that singular roamer, and quickly neutralized as well by the 3 players out there looking to find a response. Now, that is a cheeky bulletproof camera down there. Has been placed on the ground. Of course, you can rotate the camera now.
I know.
It's for an EMP dot.
It's...
They want to find an
clever. It's clever if it works. And if it doesn't work, then it's okay. They try to pocket play. But I love seeing little ingenuity ideas. Hey, that hatch is locked again.
Hey, remember what happened last time they locked the hatch? Someone just jumped in and got the kill onto the bar player, and suddenly the stock was open as well. So FaZe really need to make sure they have at least 2 players on the site this time, or someone ready to retake top floor control. But if you're then looking at it, Cameraman is the only one that currently carries a shotgun as well. So if they don't open up these default angles, these, you know, the floor right above the default plants, there's going to be no way of stopping another rush plant like that.
Well, Raps makes sure that they take out a Snowmo camera. Cameraman suffers just from a spray through the softs and is able to escape, but now has to pay a lot of caution to the potential of somebody hitting up Snowmo's stairs and maybe seeing if they can put some pressure onto that hard reinforced wall. They obviously have the thermite, and I don't think he's able to reach with the exothermics. Usually, occasionally, you'll see a Selma or Habana pellets pop that open if she was allowed. but still, it's that cautious backline, which is the only true backline of the site. MIBR, they're going for a different take. Wider, bigger, they're making sure that they can get the full stretch of the map, and Cyber, as he's droned out, he's going to see if he can just slink away. He's able to. It's a game where FaZe are just sort of keeping them at arm's length for now.
That's it, 2 minutes. FaZe need to make sure to waste as much time of MIBR's attack as possible, because MIBR have just been so good in these 2 previous rounds. They were able to insert themselves into the side in one occasion and get found for the planters. Philippux gets the first kill. Astro is caught off on the rotate on the roam here, and that is 1 man less. That makes sure that MIBR yet again has a man advantage.
Now, as I see us going for a little bit of this drive, the control of the push here onto the site. Sorry, I was distracted by a certain camera that decided to have a journey over towards us. It is suddenly MIBR that pop its way over. The shotgun underneath the C4 is a bit of a Hail Mary, but she's not listening now, and cameraman is going to see if he can try and keep some control over the stair set. The pressure is building. They're going to see if they can try and find a little bit of freedom, but they don't find it. Falls instead gets that lock-in. A minute left, and Souls is doing everything he can to see if he can keep some control here. It sprays and dropped, but it's a flawless for MIBR to push themselves 1 round ahead.
And there it is, MIBR able to bring it back just slightly here as FaZe, they started us so strong on that first half, a 4-2 split. And now MIBR in the lead. 3 in a row they've managed to pick up. And that leaves us in this situation now where they are looking to bring us to a map number 3 if they get the opportunity to. 2 more rounds is all they need, as the camera we were talking about before is going to be welcoming us here on the caster desk.
Oh, wow! It actually did cut to us. I was going to get a photo of just us and it.
All right, there we go. We quickly had to
see it later.
Sorry for the quiet.
It was so funny because I just like turn around and I just see it looming. It was like, it was. You make a joke for production, and production of course tends to lean into it. Great camera shot. There he goes. Bye-bye, camera. It was lovely to have you.
See you later again.
Kitchen dining 5-4 MIBR. We said on their attacks is where they're going to be sharp, and they are proving it themselves. They are making sure they stay this step ahead consistently, and it has been that entire return to form. We said Chalet can offer this, but at the same time we've seen obviously 2 different sites and 3 different losses, because the plant was on the first swing round on that first trip onto bar, and the second was the flawless take, and they took everything but the site itself. They are more than happy to fully extend and stretch their legs over the whole of this site.
Now, what kind of annoyed me at the kitchen there is the fact that there was a lack of angles being able to be held from the side of FaZe. They closed off every single wall to trophy, all 4 of them, so there was no way of fighting back. And as soon as they were in, well, they just took the hallway afterwards. And as soon as they take the hallway, they can just go into the kitchen. And when they're in the kitchen, they'll just flash out the dining, and suddenly it's full side control for the side of MIBR. And that is something FaZe needs to stop from happening. Magnets could be a good call, but I don't think MIBR is going to be trying to go for the same execute here again. They'll probably try and play a little bit differently. After, you know, if you do the same thing twice, they will adapt, they will be ready for it, they will be able to shut you down as you go, which is not something they will be wanting to happen. So, FaZe need to defend this side. They are yet to win a round on their defense here, and MIBR is 1 away from reaching a map point.
MIBR, can they thread their 4th in a row here? Can they keep that pressure going? Obviously, when you're looking at Bank as the decider here between these 2 teams, it adds such a big element of excitement. And well, we said that they're going to want to send their best in for the fight against NA and EU and Future, and they're making sure that it's the full stretch and test of it so far. They're 2 rounds. As you said, 2 rounds separate them, but it's the same with FaZe. If they can get that 2, if they can just find something out, suddenly they're only 1 round away from map point. Suddenly they're only 2 rounds away from map 2. All they need. There's a fall of silence sort of spreads itself across the top, only punctuated by pre-fires through barricades. They're trying to cut down this rotation. It's a lot of sprays onto a couple of players that are a little bit loose.
A minute has passed and FaZe still holding on for now. There is some electrified hatches that will be crucial to their hold. However, if MIBR just decide to hit the side again, is FaZe going to be ready? The last time, 3 members close and around the side. 3 members picked up as someone just snuck into the kitchen there. No one able to reply, no one able to respond. And as it seems like, again, a take will be made towards the trophy site. There is, again, a full reinforcement here. This time, however, will be opened up, I think, as FaZe is playing quite close. An extra thermic will be placed. There's a mute jammer on the other side, though. They need to get rid of that one, but they'll just shoot a hole right above it. And as Bullet tries to challenge, he has those 2 impacts he could use to try an impact trick successfully. No, it goes all the way through. And an opening is here, and that might be the decisive factor here for this site.
You went too far, too long. It's an awkward angle to get when you have to be a little bit further away from it, because the further you are, it's basic physics, the longer the arc is going to be. You can't get the sharpness to hit the roof and catch the charge. Here, Bullet is going to see if he can stick himself in as the drones come rolling in. FaZe haven't handed a player over as of yet. MIBR is still sort of pushing and shepherding. They're going for a little pocket of space, a little bit of clarity to see if they can try and stick the diffuser in and amongst it. A bit of a wide swing doesn't stop the grenade from locking in that opener. Bullet goes down, 30 seconds, and Souls has to step in once again to be that mantle pressure player. You can see Astro's going for a retake over the top here of Solarium, but it's starting to pop off against them. There's a swing round, Reduct caught out and dropped off by Cameraman underneath. No C4 in pocket. Souls has done big bits inside the site. 15 seconds stuck behind the chassis. There is no kit in pocket. They're concerned. And, well, there's Lucan getting one more. There's a fight. It's Cameraman to get the connection. Lucan is going to see if he can get himself into the side and stick it. Cameraman's pulled himself far away. Holding. F holding that stick. 2 seconds and a bit of an overhang. It's a sprint. It's just a little bit of a misconnection now. And over the breach, he knows where Cameraman is. Trying to pop and sing with a gun that screams when it's in the right hand right now, and Cameraman, he's able to just see the tail end of the kit. Lucan, he's stacked in, holding himself behind the half wall. He has that safety, that clarity. He knows time is on his side. Cameraman has to be the force that pushes up close. He has a rough idea on where the player is, but this gun doesn't work well on rough. It is a surgeon's instrument, and he cannot quite get the right idea of where he wants to make the first incision. Lucan pops up, and MIBR have map point.
Again, they managed to push through here in the end. It was a 2-on-2 retake. That was somewhat successful. They had the side under control, but afterwards, it's MIBR that managed to win the gunfights and turn away that round into their own advantage. And now a map point, not just 1 but 2 in their hands. 2 opportunities for them to maybe close out this map and push it up to map number 3, but it starts off with that grenade. Magnets not really in the right position to catch these off. Again, the reinforcement into the trophy instead of a line of sight that could have been created prevents them from challenging it. You just give free rein out to MIBR to play from right next to the side. As you said, they can just do whatever they want from there on. They open up the wall, they decide when they push, they can throw in all the utility they want. There's nothing you have to stop them at that position. And that puts them onto 6-4. And we're again heading back towards the bar for a 3rd time here under FaZe's control. Are they going to be able to finally hold off on it? Are they going to be able to finally figure out a way to stop MIBR's attacks here on Chalet?
Will the hatch be hard or soft?
That is a big part to it. But the previous round was also hard, but it didn't really go for that take, so...
Well, yeah, maybe it doesn't matter.
Maybe it doesn't really matter. Maybe they just need to hold the right angles at the right time.
I mean, it has been much more electric here from MIBR. Obviously, they got off to a good attack start on Cafe, but it's the defense where they've sort of found themselves stressed and connecting to... It was enough, and enough is what you need to do, and enough is the game that we talked about both these 2 teams being so adept at throughout this tournament. As we said, it's not that they were statistically lighting up the boards as screaming their way here, but the consistency of good to great gameplay has ensured their positioning here, and MIBR, they are 1 round from trying to ensure this 3rd map.
MIBR need to stay patient here, not go into a bit of a hurry, into a bit of a rush to try and make sure that they lock this off as quickly as possible. It is okay to take some time here, as long as they do find the opening and the closer in the end. 6-on-4. current scoreline. FaZe 1 map up, which was won by a 5-7. Redux holding off some of these rotations here. Cyber moves up a little bit too far through. He could lose his life. He starts opening up, and Bulla is the first to fall. Redux gets an important opening kill here. It's actually a second one as well. They're again exploding towards the entirety of Chalet, and as they are starting to gather some more information as well, Cyber is forced to play in a position that just lost him one of his teammates here. 2 grenades roll underneath his feet. He needs to rotate back towards the site, but that gets him killed as well.
The cameraman is at least able to find one. He went for a bit of an aggressive retake over the top there, and an against Reduct, who is removed from the board, but knows that he is isolated. Souls is trying his best to see if he can stack up some support, but loses the engagement. Cameraman is all that's left, keeping the map into something where they can look it out on just 2. Finds the first, but Fools is looking for the stick here. The swing up Snowmo stairs doesn't quite net them the full fight, and now a post plant. Doesn't get it though. MIBR find Chalet and ensure a 3rd map in this showdown.
We are going to map number 3 very soon here, as MIBR completely decimated FaZe on the attack here. Not a single defensive round was even close to being won here.